This is David with Corel Training.
This is Cassie Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon and Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
the best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorating.
Prepare for the ride.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, November 1st, 2024. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
I'm Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group, and I coach business owners away from stress and towards anxiety. Of course, I get a phone call right at this moment. Yeah, we've only been doing this for 12 years. So anyhow, I am excited to be here today, Terry. I get to wear a couple of different hats today. So I'm going to, I guess, when we go to that segment, I'll walk away and then I'll come back as the guest or something. I'm not real sure, but I get to
in your chair, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm standing, but we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll bring the desk down and I'll sit down for it. But we'll be talking about cultivating an uncommon mindset and just why that's so important for you and your business. I feel like that's a responsibility of mine is to help these business owners think a little bit differently. We're facing some challenging things and potential. There's lots of craziness going on in the world. So how can we get through that? And I think just looking at things a little bit differently from time to time will be the solution to that. So we'll talk about that today, Terry.
Awesome. Be sure to stay till the very end for the secret sauce. This week, Dane Clement will be stirring up the sauce on one of his go-to AI tools.
Yeah, Dane, as usual, is going to pop in here and just bring some brilliance. He's been using several different AI tools for graphics, and he's going to just show us. Like, hey, I don't need to tell you. I can show you. I mean, he's going to talk through it with us, but we're excited.
Dane took said AI, say it ain't so, about a year ago, and about a year and a minute later, he's like, okay, I'm going to embrace this thing.
That's right. That's right. So we're excited to talk to Dane here at the end. But now, though, we've got a friend of ours, Dan Barefoot, with World Imaging News, is here to join us. And we got to interview him actually while I was at this show. So I hope I wasn't too big of a distraction, but interviewing Dan about what he's doing now. So cool. Amazing. So we're excited for him to bring the news to us here, Terry. You ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, guys. It's really great to be back again. I hope everyone's doing well after Halloween. It's a wonderful sunny day here in Los Angeles, and everybody's really happy because the Dodgers won the World Series. And you know what? We have some exciting news stories to share. As we head into the busy fall season, digital decorators are in full swing, especially with the upcoming election, adding to the workload, and the holiday rush is just around the corner. Today, we'll recap our top stories from World Imaging News from the month of October. Many of the stories concern new products which will be shown during the Impressions Show in January in Long Beach. Plus, we have a big announcement from World Imaging News that you don't want to miss. Our first story highlights a unique product line from Sweden by the name company Color Reel. Their innovative technology instantly produces virtually any color thread in real time, starting from a single spool of white thread. The story is especially interesting not only because of the technology, which I'll dive into later, but also because Color Reel entered bankruptcy in July, raising fears of liquidation. Now, with the announcement of new ownership, they're back in production and ready to make a comeback. Now, let's talk about Color Reel's technology, which is super interesting. As you know, traditional embroidery means constantly stopping to switch thread colors. But Color Reel has completely upended this concept with their instant thread coloring technology. The magic happens in 3 easy steps. First, the white thread gets a special pretreatment, kind of like a primer before paint. Then it passes through a precision inkjet printhead that uses CMYK inks to create any color imaginable. Virtually millions of variations. The really cool part, though, is the system can change colors instantly as the thread moves through it. You can smoothly transition from red to purple to blue or to any type of color on a single thread. You can just imagine what you can do with a digital front-end package, sending out colors. It is absolutely amazing. This whole process happens in real time when you're embroidering, with the thread being colored just milliseconds before it enters the fabric. There are incredible opportunities with this product in the decorated garments, headwear, and other fabric products. The company was at Impressions last year, but I don't know if they will be at this coming 2025 Impressions or not, based on the latest announcement that we have. You know, we've had lots of Roland stories, and today's no different. Roland's new TY300 direct-to-film printer, a 30-inch production transfer printer, just launched in Japan with plans to expand globally soon. It's expected to be launched in the Americas at the Impression shows in January. The TY300 is engineered for precision, handling fine lines, small text, and photo quality images with ease, thanks to newly developed print heads. With a high-speed output of 115 square feet per hour in production mode and dual large print heads in a staggered layout, the TY300 officially prints white, a must for apparel. The new SPG2 ink certified by Ecotech's Eco Passport ensures safety for all wearers. By the way, we did a story earlier this week on Ecotech's and the Eco Passport certification. Over 50,000 products have been certified this year, and I expect that everyone that's in the DTG, DTF, sublimation markets will have to have Ecotech's certification soon. It has really become the standard. For anyone serious about DTF printing, the TY300 will be a major player along with other new DTF products from Epson, Mimaki, Ricoh's, and others. And you will see this at the Impression show. The Japanese companies are coming into this market in a big way. It's good for the market because of the tech support that these companies provide on a nationwide basis. Our next story is about Stratasys, an Israeli company who is a global leader in 3D printing. They've launched two innovative new products for high-end fashion that allow 3D printing on fabrics. There are two breakthrough products, the J850 Textile 3D printer and the Textile Fabric Alignment System. With the J850 Textile printer, this 3D printer offers direct-to-textile printing powered by Stratasys 3D fashion software. Designers can now print up to 7 materials at the same time. Yes, at the same time, with stunning color, transparency, and intricate textures all in a single print. Imagine producing vibrant custom fabrics that were impossible to achieve with traditional methods. The Textile Fabric Alignment Station takes precision to the next level, perfectly aligning 2D patterns with the intricate 3D designs. Together, these solutions provide designers a new level of creative freedom while promoting eco-conscious fashion. Our next story is about Rock. Rock has recently introduced a product called Rock Peel, and the reason is one of the major challenges of DTF that's becoming a major bottleneck is printing speed is increasing. And because of that, the process of removing film from the garment after heat pressing is a problem. Rock seems to have an answer with the new Rock Peel, an impressive tool designed to optimize DTF production processes. The Rock Peel automates transfer film removal from t-shirts, freeing personnel up to focus on crafting high-quality custom apparel with incredible speed. Here's what makes the Rock Peel stand out. It's fully automatic, removes film at the push of a button, and is customizable. You can adjust speed and stroke length to fit your specific needs. When paired with the Rock Impress, it delivers unmatched productivity, reaching up to 500 pieces per hour. So in an 8-hour shift, you're talking about 4,000 pieces, and that's just one unit. So I can expect some of the larger companies will have multiple units. In high volume settings, the rock peel is a major game changer. Watch for this unit to be featured at the rock booth at Impressions. And our last story is really exciting for me personally. World Imaging News is pleased to announce the launch of World Imaging News Latino. This separate website is designed to provide information for Spanish and Portuguese speaking graphics imaging professionals. We will launch at the end of November, and it will be the first pan-Latin American digital media portal in the world. You might wonder, why not rely on Google Translate for World Imaging News? Well, the reason is there are so many multinational companies that have a presence in Latin America who want information tailored specifically for their region, separate from content from North America. Now, for conversation purposes or about this, North America means Canada and the United States. As you know, Mexico is also considered North America, but because of its Spanish-speaking capabilities, it will be part of, when we're discussing it, we're talking about Mexico all the way down to Brazil. We will cover it. So Win Latino will be separate from our Win site. What can you expect from Win Latino? Daily news updates, in-depth reporting, learning resources, industry insights, event coverage, specifically for the Latin American market. And we have many new features coming in 2025 for both websites that will be unique and not currently offered. So we're excited about this as well. Our new site will be located at worldimagingnewslatino.com. Be sure to follow us for the official launch date. To stay up to date on the latest news and trends in digital imaging, please go over to worldimagingnnews.com and sign up for our weekly newsletter, Win Quick News. You will receive industry insights delivered straight to your inbox. And that's the Win News, folks. I'm Dan Barefoot. And until the next time, stay healthy and keep smiling.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Stay healthy, keep smiling. Let's do it. A big smile. So good. So good. And congratulations to Dan on the Latino website. I know that's always been a big, when we got to talk to him a few weeks back, that's always been a big part of his business, is working with those Latino cultures and countries and whatnot. So perfect fit. And Dan truly gets the difference in those things. So worth checking both those out.
And our good friend Bill Strange here in Phoenix, he professionally translates English news to Spanish, so in Portuguese. So Dan, if you're looking for somebody,
yeah, definitely. I haven't talked to Bill in ages.
It's a couple of years.
Okay.
Since
All
I
right.
talked.
All right.
So.
Well, for sure. Let's real quick here, Terry. Let's see. We got people tuning in here this morning. We got Rena saying good morning and happy Friday. Ramona, good morning, everyone. Needles McKee, we appreciate her tuning in this morning. So if you guys are tuned in here, let us know that that you're here. I'm excited to be kind of the quote unquote guest, but honestly, what I would prefer, Terry, is let's make this a conversation, right?
Absolutely.
I know you and I will have a great conversation about this. Obviously, this is something I'm very passionate about, and I know you have very similar feelings to me. So I want to hear what you guys that are tuned in have to say. Plus, do me a favor, go ahead and share this with your friends. Let's, if we can have everybody have an uncommon mindset, things are going to be a lot better in our world. So,
awesome.
All right. Well, Terry, speaking of keeping smiling, I think you've got a very timely dad joke for us. Are you ready for that?
I do. We're just one day from Halloween, so I felt like we needed one. So
well, you're exactly right. All right, Eric, whenever you're ready, sir.
So, Aaron, what do vegetarian zombies eat?
I don't know, Terry. What do they eat?
Grains. Okay, now look at Eric. Is he yes or no?
It's a no. It's a head shaker. Which in dad joke world, That's
That's a
actually a
win.
yes. Right. It's a win. So okay. All right. We got this too. All right. Thank you, Eric, for the grading. We always look to Eric. I actually delivered a dad joke on my Rising Tide talks on Wednesday. And people in the comments, in fact, I think it was Chuck, who I think is in here today as well, said, we need Eric to translate. So
Exactly. All right. Before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in our show intros. Go to decorators.ink.ink/intro, read a few sentences, and be a part of the show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening. We are there, and we would love a review. And if you're, as Aaron just said, if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions.
absolutely. And then speaking of comments, so Ramona helped explain the dad joke, and we appreciate that, Ramona. Grains, giggles. But I was also in the middle of you talking. I don't know if this ever gets you or not, Terry, but sometimes when you're going through that part of the show, I'm reading the comments at the same time. And a lot of times there's like post dad joke comments, or Michelle said new dad joke calendar will be going out next week. And that was a reminder that, hey, it's November 1st. I need to flip the calendar. So we've got some new ones.
All right.
So we'll get those on the list there.
November 1st too. I want to put my foot down and stop the world from spinning quite so fast, because this year it's just flown by.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I was thinking to myself, man, I need to really kind of look at my fourth quarter goals. I'm like, wait a second, we're already a third of the way through the fourth quarter. Oh boy.
That's funny you say that, because this morning I was like, okay, there's only 2 months left in the year.
That's right. Well, Dan Campbell popping in. So thanks for being here, Dan. Appreciate you tuning in. Well, should we do this? Should we get on with the show?
Yeah, let's get on with this. So let me just jump in with the first question, Aaron.
Yeah.
Why is this concept of the uncommon mindset so important to you?
Man, that's well, I mean, honestly, Terry, I can draw a direct line to any success I've had in this industry, in my career in general, back to at one point saying, I understand that it's this way, but why? Right? Let me think differently about this. And if we think about any challenge we've ever overcome, it came out of this idea of an uncommon mindset. You had to think differently. So finding solutions is actually, I don't know, for lack of a better term, a superpower of mine. When we think about the strengths that we've been given, that is one of my strengths, is I love finding solutions. And, so we see a lot of creativity in this industry specifically. Yeah. And for me, I get inspired by that, but I don't get inspired to go make a beautiful design, or like Eric with the digitizing, or people with their, Dane Clement and the artwork that he creates. Right. For me, my creativity shows up in problem solving. And so I do believe deeply at my heart that being a successful business requires us to think differently. I'm not trying to make a blanket statement per se, but if you think about our society and how it's set up from the time that we're kids and through everything that goes on out there in the world, we are kind of built, suggested that we need to follow orders and build somebody else's dream, right? And as business owners, we can't do that, right? We can't sit there and wait for somebody to tell us what to do. And so I think ultimately this is so important to me, because having an uncommon mindset is what leads us to success.
Aaron, it's funny. Every time you talk about this, I always, and when you say, I understand you do it that way, but why? It takes me back to my consulting days when, someone would say, okay, and then we do this step. And then when I stop them and say, well, why do you do that? It's like blank. And then it's like, because we always have.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, 100%. And but I don't think, I mean, that's our natural way to go about things, right? Like, yeah, that's the way we've always done it. If it, you know, because even when it's broke, we don't fix it until the pain gets so bad
Mhm.
that we're required to fix it. And so what if instead of having to go through all the pain, we thought differently first, then we can avoid those things. And so I don't know why it feels like such a light bulb for me, but if I can just spread that quote unquote gospel of let's think differently a little bit and see what happens and just assume that it might work and then take action on it, boy, I think that can really lead us to success.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we both experienced with working with different companies the
Yeah.
fear of change. But why does an uncommon mindset lead to success? And because that's what people are afraid of. What if
Yeah.
I fail?
What if I fail? Absolutely. Yeah. They're afraid. Yeah. And the funny part about fear, right, is it's a fantasized experience appearing real. So it's just, we're assuming that we're going to fail. Like my wife has a massive fear of snakes. And it's not the snake that she fears, it's the being bitten by a snake. And I asked her, I'm like, have you ever been bitten by a snake? No. So you saw it somewhere and you just didn't want that to happen. And so, right. But same thing for me. I've got this really odd fear of needles. It's not the needle that I fear, it's the pain that's associated with it. But yeah, like we have to generate that in our mind. So anyhow, I could go way down that rabbit hole there.
Well,
But
it's like I don't have fear of heights, but I have a fear of hitting the ground.
there you go. Exactly. But when you're, think about that, right? People that do have that fear of flying or fear of heights, when you can get them to think about why they're on that plane, right? I'm going to see the grandkids, or I'm going to a vacation, or I get to go see a loved one. All of a sudden that fear of flying is gone because they're focused on what they want, not what they don't want, which is, like you said, hitting the ground.
Right.
So yeah, back to this uncommon mindset idea and leading to success. I think what we can do is look at some common statistics out there. Now, I know people like myself, we want to pull all these crazy wild statistics to prove our point. And I've heard everything from like 85% of small businesses to all sorts of wild numbers out there. And in fact, I said 85% for a long time, small businesses fail in their first year or something like that. And I think you can make a case for that. I have seen some actual scientifically backed research on that. But what I did is I went to the Small Business Administration, which is, the organization that our government is said, hey, you guys make sure our small businesses are strong. And so their data says that almost 50%, half, right, of small businesses don't last past 5 years. And that's the common statistic. So that's not painting a very pretty picture of what this whole business ownership thing is supposed to be like, but yet we still do it. And when, there's a 50% chance we're going to fail. Now, their data also tells us that there are 33.3 million small businesses in the United States, which means 16 million business owners will become the victim, in my mind, of the common mindset. And this whole thing is made even worse because the number of new small businesses has actually doubled since 1982. So not only are the statistics not in our favor, but more and more people are taking this leap, and therefore there's more and more competition. And so I think the longer that they push through that common mindset of let's do it this way, wait for to be told, we'll talk about the actual uncommon mindsets here in a bit. But the Small Business Administration's data goes on to say that 70% then fail or quit before year 10. And so they do say that most that's due to cash flow, which we understand small business owners are passionate about what they do, but there's a certain threshold where I've got to eat. I've got to put a roof over my family's head. So I'm going to have to do something different here. They're making sales, but they can't maintain because they're trying to do it like everybody else. So in my mind, we need to crave or go after uncommon results. Right? So common results are that 50% fail. Well, we're still going to become a business owner. So we've got to think uncommon. So if we want to beat those stats, we need to have an uncommon business. So to me, the dots connect because an uncommon mindset leads to uncommon success, which leads to uncommon fulfillment and an uncommon business. So I've kind of made it my mission to share, and I share it through this book, The Fundamentals of Business Success, kind of the foundation of this, to support business owners past the past the common challenges, like finding new customers, pricing their products, managing their time, overcoming overwhelm. And when we can get beyond those common challenges, we do then end up with uncommon results and uncommon outcomes. So, in a long way to kind of say, Terry, if we want success, we need to think differently.
Well, that makes perfect sense, and I know it's difficult for people, but I think once you step out of the box, and realize and find a little bit of success and a little bit of success, then all of a sudden everything's okay. It makes you feel a little better about
Yeah.
the fact that you've tried.
Yeah. And when you have that success and you step out of that place, you start doing things differently. You might not realize it, but you are. And that's the thing that we're trying to get to here with this uncommon mindset is we need to do those things differently than we would from that scarcity place. So we'll talk about that quite a bit here throughout our conversation, Terry, but that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's almost like an epiphany. It's like, suddenly your eyes open that, wait a second. I don't have to, I can step out of the line, and do things differently. I have to take a quick aside because you know how I think, Aaron. We were talking about fear of flying. I saw a comedian once say, well, all I know is this: if I'm driving and the engine falls out of my car, I just stop.
Very true. Well, Dan added, he said his father always said, it's not how high you fall, it's that sudden stop that counts.
Exactly right. So, we're talking broad things, uncommon outcomes, things like that. But so how does this work for a business owner to adopt this mindset and do things differently? Thinking about the challenges that they have, how does somebody actually say, okay, here's what I'm going to do?
So hold on, Terry. You're asking me to actually make the rubber meet the road here. Actually, have something practical for people. I don't know. That's not really me.
From our non-falling airplane.
Hey, Aaron, come out of the clouds. Okay, all right. Before I come out of the clouds, though, can we cover a couple of comments from the listeners here?
Yeah.
Because I think there's some good stuff in here. So Ramona says the general public is raised to be the minions, the worker bees. Those of us that won't want to break out of that, try to build our own business. But right. And then Dan says, for someone struggling and still in their first 3 years, that 5-year statement is not so exciting to hear. Absolutely. And that's just it, right? Like, yeah, why do we do this to ourselves if the stats are against us? But the reality is that the benefits of it, when we understand why we're doing it, then all that stuff goes away, right? The stats don't even matter anymore. Okay, well, that's the other 50%. I'm not part of that 50%. Or, if you believe the 85% stat, okay, well, I'm part of the 15%, right? It doesn't matter. So yeah, good stuff there. And okay, so Ramona says the people we go to learn this change perpetuate this minion mindset by telling us buy this and make millions. Right, absolutely. And we'll talk about that culture out there that is just there to put their hands on your wallet. So all right, so back to your question, Terry. How do we kind of make the rubber meet the road here, right? And so I've been really fortunate to be doing our success group, being a part of our success group for about 5 years now, and I made a really good decision early on that is paying off right now, because I actually cared enough to go, okay, well, what is your challenge, right? I think I know what we need to do, but if I don't know your challenge, then it doesn't really matter, because we're not going to connect. And so basically every time I've ever kind of got people to sign up for something or interact with me in some way, I always try to ask, what's one of the main struggles or challenges that you face as a business owner? And by far, a majority, because I get to work with a lot of solopreneurs, small businesses that are wearing all the hats, right? And so by far the main struggle that they tell me they have to overcome is they have a time management problem. I'm overwhelmed. I can't do all the things. So when we talk about how do we practically think about this uncommon mindset, well, we have to first identify the common mindset, which is to grind harder, right? We were just talking about the people that say, buy this and you'll make $1 million. This whole 10X culture, I'm not sure how familiar you are with this, Terry, but there are these, what I might call the bro marketers out there, and they're screaming at you to just work harder, right? Do more, outwork everybody else, right? And yelling at you, dropping F-bombs. And so the crazy part is these guys are so loud that if everyone's trying to 10X the next guy, I just don't see the cycle. I don't see how this is going to end well for anyone. So, and so that then perpetuates the next statement, which is, I have so many responsibilities. I'm doing all the things. I'm working so hard. I'm, every challenge that somebody puts in front of me. I'm doing the 21-day challenge of going live. Like, wow. Right. And so the reality then that hits them in the face that they only have so many resources in, I've got 24 hours in the day. Terry's got 24 hours in the day, right? I have yet to meet anybody that has an unlimited wallet, right? That just money just keeps magically appearing. So there's resources that we have. And so my question is, how the heck am I going to grind even harder when I'm already at my limit? And so for me, the uncommon mindset that showed up is actually pretty well documented in my book, The Eighth Fundamental, which is systematic processes. And the big concept behind it is we actually need to slow down to speed up. And I don't think that you're a big racing NASCAR guy, as far as I know, Terry.
I'm not.
Okay. And honestly, I'm not necessarily either, but this whole concept interests the heck out of me. And so I found myself watching NASCAR more because there's a lot more strategy to it than you think, instead of just a bunch of hillbillies drinking beer and running into each other. So I saw this show where they were talking to a school that actually trains pit crews. And the entire time, the one thing that they said every time was slow down to speed up, right? So if you think about a pit crew, every little second counts. So obviously time is of the essence. But the reality is they have to get it exactly right. And that's what we want to do in our business, right? We want to get everything as perfect as we can. So the way they do it is just they have very systematic processes. One guy does this, that's a very choreographed, maybe big dudes carrying big stuff around going as quick as they can, but it's really a ballet when it comes to it, very choreographed. And so we have to look at our business in that way. Where can I, okay, I'm doing all these things. Okay, but do you need to do all those things? And the things that do need to happen to keep you moving forward, can you look at that in a more systematic process, right? Terry, I know you're huge with this, right? You can double somebody's production time, and you do that through creating a systematic process for them,
Exactly.
right? Finding the downtime. But you can't do that when you're going 100 miles an hour. You actually have to stop and step back, right? And so a good decision is, hey, let's bring in somebody like Terry that can, have an outside look on this and be willing to listen to it. Or, you know what? I'm going to say no to a few things, and I'm just going to take this week here. I'm going to work on my business. So that's ultimately what the practicality of it is for me is let's just slow down. Let's work on our business a little bit more. Let's work on ways that we can improve it. Let's set up some processes. Let's find ways to automate things. Let's bring in help. Let's, be part of a group that has a different perspective. You need to be intentional with your time and resources because they're limited. And so that's what my suggestion is, to really kind of get this whole concept of an uncommon mindset into practicality in your business.
I was working on my secret sauce for next week and really touched on that exact thing. It's on expectations. And if you're the employer who says, we want to be the quality decorator.
Yeah.
at the same time saying we need to push as many pieces out the door as we possibly can this week.
Yeah.
Those are conflicting
Absolutely.
thought processes. So you have to find that balance.
Yeah. And Terry, I think that's a perfect example, because yes, those are conflicting things, but yes, you can still be very efficient, but you do have to slow down to speed up. You have to be very intentional about, like you said, finding that balance. And when you have employees involved, right, you got to get everybody on that same page, and you can't do that if work, like you got to take that time to have the lunch with them. You got to take that time to do the, your 52-15, great idea, those types of things. So
awesome. Well, so you talked about earlier the struggle that people have in finding new customers.
Yeah.
So what uncommon mindset do you suggest to overcome? I mean, employees, that's a whole different ball game we're talking about. But on the front end here, what can we do to overcome I need to find customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so the other part about all this stuff that always makes me giggle, Terry, is I'm sitting here kind of quote unquote preaching maybe a little bit, but the reality is this just comes from my experience. These are things that I've learned the hard way over the years that I've gotten to be involved in this industry and involved in business in general. So I can even relate a story back to our days at US Screen, right? We were grinding, right? We needed to make the numbers. Heck, we got to a point where we needed to make payroll. Let's right. And so, in my mind back then, how do we increase the transactions, right? How do I get, build and make a couple more sales calls, right? That kind of thing. And I thinking back on that, and yes, I'd go dig up some old spreadsheets and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I don't remember any of the transactions from a number standpoint, right? What we do remember are the relationships that we had, right? Like we can still tell stories from those days, and it's all about a relationship that we had with somebody or created with somebody that then became a big customer or something. Like Hawkeye is a perfect example of this, right? That relationship came out from a different place, but the reality of it was that was what allowed us to have Hawkeye as part of the team is we built a relationship with him. You and I still have a relationship with him, and that's a valuable relationship for both of us. And so the uncommon mindset in my mind when it comes to this actually comes from two different fundamentals in the book, number 5 and number 6, which number 5 is the relationships. And yes, we could be talking about employees, but the idea there is we need to let go of the transactions. The transactions will come once we nurture the relationships. And then number 6 in the book is the marketing groundwork, which just means who's your ideal customer and really understand them, not just like them as a transaction. How do I get more of them? I want to fill my funnel up and make sure that the percentages all work out. Yes, that will come to bear, but none of that will work at all until you start focusing on the relationship, what's important to them. So in marketing, for example, we do try to cast the widest net. But we live in a world today where it's all about stealing people's attention with notifications, the apps on our phone, things like that. And so trying to cast the widest net is actually the fastest way just to become part of the noise that we're all trying so desperately to tune out. So as a business owner, and one that wants to have customers that they love doing business with, which at the end of the day, I think that's all of us, right? We need to at least picture in our mind, right? Like, who's that customer that you love doing business with, Terry? So maybe you could like harken back to your days as an actual printer. I'm sure there was like one person that every time they called, you were super excited when they called because it was going to be another fun project. You loved working with them. Maybe they probably became a friend at some level. So I'm guessing there's somebody like that for you, Terry. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm also guessing
relationships with. Yeah,
absolutely. And I know you're a relationship guy, so certainly that was why it was an easy question for me to ask you. But I think another thought that then goes through our mind, especially if we're in a place where we need to get new customers, is, oh my God, if I just had 100 more customers like that, my life would be good, right? But I think that's the part where we need to start having an uncommon mindset, because the reality is there are 100 more customers just like that out there. our message just isn't clear enough to be able to attract them, because we're trying to be all things to everybody. And so when we stop to think that way and understand that my marketing message should be a conversation that I'm having with one person. So if Terry's my ideal customer, it's so much easier for me to connect when I'm actually trying to have my marketing be a conversation with Terry, as opposed to thousands of people out there in the world that I don't really know. And so I actually just completed a marketing workshop yesterday, and we had 6 action takers that have a full roadmap to reach their ideal customer. And it all started with getting down to that pinpointed, okay, cool. I know that you're going to do business with more people than just this school or nurse or teacher or whatever it was for people. But you get really clear talking to that school, nurse, teacher, whatever, then guess what? The other people are going to go, oh, yeah, I see that. I like that. I want some of that. Right. And so, it's one of those things where if we just, again, go back to slowing down to speeding up and understanding why our customers at their deep feelings level choose us. And so this is something I love working with people on. I find that it's, just for me, honestly, business owners that reach out that just say, hey, Aaron, I could use some help with this. I figure out a way to help them. So I guess that's kind of a little nugget. Any of you that are tuned in right now that could use a little help, just send me a message. I'm happy to talk about it, and we'll see if there's a something that I can do to help you, or program or whatever. So anyhow, not trying to sell anything, but I think that's really crucial for people to really think deeply about the relationships they have with their customers, and that will get them more customers.
Aaron, when you're talking about your workshop and people having these action plans, and I think so much of this is just taking a step back and thinking about your business and thinking about where you want to go. And I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the day to day that you don't take the time to do those things. And sometimes it takes that marketing workshop or whatever to kind of rethink where you're going or where you want to go.
Yeah.
Well, we have a new sponsor, Aaron. You mentioned last week that coming out of COVID, during COVID, we decided that we weren't going to do sponsorships. We were going to help businesses and the trade shows to promote themselves and be successful. And so just last week you said, we're ready to do sponsors again. And here this week we have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is really cool because, what I would say, not that we necessarily had anything directly to do with it, but hey, I think we did our part. We didn't lose any trade shows. Right? I think other industries did. We did not. You may have changed ownership, but
that was a real possibility too. So
it was a real possibility. Anyhow, so yeah, just real quick, it's not everything's kind of in work still, so we don't have anything specific, but it is Promo Hut, and we had Tony on a couple weeks ago. And so just a shout out to Tony. We're excited. They're going to be supporting and sponsoring 2 regular guys here for the next 3-4 months at least. And we're excited to continue to share what they're doing. Got a really cool program, Terry. So I think people, if you want to go check it out, Promo Hunt. And you and I have said every time we hear it, we think of Promo Hut, but no, this is Promo Hunt. And then if you go /apparel, you can check that out. So
some very cool stuff from our show last week that he shared with us. So that was
I think it was 2 weeks ago, Terry. But because then we have Matt on last week.
Oh, maybe it was 2 weeks.
It doesn't matter.
It's November 1st already.
I know,
and it's only taken 3 months to get here. So January, November, July was in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going because we've got Dane waiting in the wings for his sauce, and we've got some more ground to cover here. And real quick, Terry, before you do, Dan, I see your comment there. We'll put a pin in that. I'm not sure if we'll get to it today, but I will come over and respond. And certainly, Dan, feel free to reach out to me directly as well. So, okay.
Yeah. Well, so we're talking about common mindsets and uncommon mindsets. Aaron, what are some of the habits that business owners need to unlearn in their businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've found that there's several default mindsets that we've kind of pinpointed to say, yeah, this might be holding you back. Let's think differently about this. And I think one of the big ones, especially in the solopreneur world that I kind of live in, heck, I'm that myself, right? Is I got to do it all myself, right? And so it's such a catch-22 because I honestly love working with solopreneurs and entrepreneurs because of their industrious nature, because of their go-getter attitude, right? I can do this on my own. That they're action takers, right? At the end of the day, that's what is required. But I found that the successful ones are a little bit different. There's this nuanced difference. And they're action takers, but they're also action takers in the fact that they are willing to ask for help. They're action takers who believe, like me, that success is a team sport. And honestly, that belief comes from the fact that I've seen teamwork get rewarded. Right. So this goes back to a story that I actually have in my book. A gentleman that I had met had came on my Small Business Saturdays podcast. And when he came on, he was coming on to share some great information. In fact, we had him on here, Dale Furtwinler. He was on with us a few months ago. But anyhow, we were talking before my show, and he was, nice enough to come and be on the show and give of his time. And I said to him, I said, well, okay, Dale, cool. So what can I do for you? Right. Cause he's just telling me all these things. And he's like, well, to be honest with you, I know that I can't outgive the universe. So we're good. Right. I was like, whoa, okay. And that's that teamwork, right? When we are willing to kind of ask for help and then also give help, then we can let go of the worry of where's it going to come from. And so for me personally, I always reward the action takers, right? No matter where I'm at, like if I, whatever's possible, at the very least, I want to give them a little bit of advice, something that I've learned along the way. When they reach out, maybe they're willing to comment on social media. They're willing to get involved in the conversation. I've made it a very intentional point personally to not just, give them the thumbs up or the like or the one word answer. I try to actually participate in that conversation, right? There's a certain level where the conversation is done, but those that are willing to invest in themselves, in me, at least, at the very least, and I know I'm not really the only one, but I'm the only one I can control. They literally have a partner who does not give up easily. So that willingness to kind of say, hey, I need some help is probably one of the biggest defaults that we need to let go of, that idea that I've got to do it all on my own. So that's one. You want some more? Do you have anything to add?
I was just hanging on every word.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love it. And I can do that with Terry, my mentor here. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, we'll talk about another one then, and feel free to jump in. I don't mean to kind of overtake everything here, but another kind of common habit is that everything we do has to be this massive action, right? Like if I'm not doing massive action, then I'm not achieving anything. But here's another reality, right? When we see people that have appeared to have taken this massive action and reached the pinnacle of whatever it is that they're reaching to, we're only seeing the tip of that iceberg. And so honestly, I think it's that vision from the different perspectives that trip us up, right? So Terry's screen printing class, right? You've told us, and it's sold out each time that you've done this. But you didn't just one day hang up your shingle and say, I'm going to do this screen printing class and I'm going to make it the best and it's going to be sold out every month, right? It derived from countless hours of you on screen printing shop production floors that you personally owned, or even ones that you worked for, massive places that you went and ran because of your experience, right? Yeah. And you've even said this. And so I'm in a way quoting you here, like, there's got to be a better way, right? Yeah. So you tested, you tried, you put in the daily work. And that's how you got to a point where you can teach screen printing classes confidently, knowing that you're going to give people something of value, right? So is that true?
Yeah, 100% true. 100%
okay. All right. True. And so that's one side of it, right? We see everybody else's success and then we go, oh man, I got to do this big thing. But then the other side of that story also hangs us up, right? Because that lack of perspective works the other way, right? Think about where you're at today, from the actions that you've taken, and then go back 3-6 months ago, right? It doesn't have to be that far ago. But if you go back and put yourself at that point in your life 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and then said, okay, I'm going to get to where I am 3 months from now, that would seem like a huge, massive leap, right? But yeah, it wasn't, right? It was the daily actions that built up. And so we're so close to it that we don't see the growth. And so we don't think that we're making any progress when we really are. It's just we don't have enough perspective of distance, right? I always look at this like kids, right? Like my son is growing like a weed, and I can know that from measuring him. But honestly, on the day to day, he doesn't seem like he's growing much. But like, when his grandparents see him and haven't seen him for a little bit, or other people see him when they haven't seen him for a bit, they're like, "Oh my God, he has shot up. I mean, he's taller than my wife now." And so
Yeah.
that's that same perspective that we have in our businesses and our actions. So let me share one more quick story here. There's a gentleman that I work with, and he's got a handyman business here locally to me, and I've been working with him for about 6 months now. And he's now in a process where he's built his business to where we're working on his hiring plan together. And all concerned and like, man, I don't know if we can afford it, and oh gosh, how are we going to get there? And all it took is for me to kind of say, okay, cool, John. Do you remember when we started? You were going door to door in your neighborhood, hanging up flyers just to get one job. Now you've got so much business that you're trying to hire people. And that was 6 months ago. Right. And you could just see it in his eyes. You could see it in his posturing. And he was so concerned, so worried about everything. And in just me reminding him of that one thing, I'm not saying this had anything to do with me. I just had the perspective of I didn't have to live it every day. And so I could point that out to him. And so I just love those one-on-one sessions because I can point that stuff out to people. But I think that really does hold us back from making the decisions we need to make. So,
Aaron, when you're talking about this, I kept in my head thinking about the entertainment industry, where somebody just out of the blue, it's like overnight success. They went from 0 to 100, and then they're interviewing the person. They go, "Well, yeah, we've been playing clubs. We started out playing the Holiday Inn 10 years ago."
Yeah.
And then boom, overnight we have a hit.
Yeah. I saw a thing on Motley Crue, right? And they were meteoric rise, but when you saw the Netflix thing, it's like, wow, they were working it, right? They were getting at it. They just happened to be partying super hard at the same time, and they caught up to them. But Yosta says Coca-Cola only sold 25 bottles in its first year, right? So we got, I think that's a big one. If we got time, I know we're kind of getting to it, and we've got Dane coming in here, but can I give you one more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll try to be quick with this one, but if you have anything to add, please do. The other one that I've trying to, and this is something I work on personally too, is feedback is criticism. Like, I don't want to hear that, right? It hurts when someone tells us we didn't meet their expectations, right? And for a lot of people, their business is their baby, and nobody likes to be told that their baby might have an ugly blemish on it, right? But in fundamental number 12, I actually changed the title right before I published the book to Crave Feedback, right? And we only can really use feedback when we actively crave it, right? We have to so openly embrace it that it feels like if we're not getting feedback, we're not growing our business. And that starts with saying all feedback is just data for us to make improvements and to make better, more efficient decisions. It doesn't mean that we have to take every bit of feedback or criticism to heart and make massive changes every time. It just means we need to log that as another data point. And the other thing is, when we start craving it, we also realize that that feedback actually shows up in all sorts of different forms, right? We think of feedback as, okay, I got that bad review on Facebook, or I got the good review, right? So positive or negative. So it's verbal, right? But we also get lots of feedback in the form of nonverbal feedback. Okay, I put this thing out there and nobody bought it. Well, that's feedback, or I put this thing out there and lots of people bought it. Okay, that's also feedback. And then the big one that most of us miss, I missed it for a very long time, and this is probably the one that's most important, is the internal feedback, right? What's going on inside of us, right? So again, same thing, there's positive and negative. So when you're in that state of joy, you're having fun, you're feeling fulfilled, that's feedback that things are working. Keep doing that, do more. Yes. But then there's also those negative bits of internal feedback, right? I'm stressed, I'm anxious, there's fear, there's worries, right? And so that to me is feedback saying, hey, we got to figure out how we're out of alignment, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing what I love and what I'm passionate about. That stress, that anxiety, that fear, that worry just melts away. Right? How am I going to pay the bills? Right? I kind of talking to Dan's comment a little bit earlier, right? Like, yes, we need to understand that and we need to make a plan for that. But at the same time, sometimes we just have to have a little faith and move forward. And so that's that form of feedback, right? So I guess ultimately the thing that we need to, the habit we need to break is that instead of avoiding feedback because I don't want to hear the bad things, I want to deal with it. I need to turn that around, like fully turn it around and say, I crave it. Tell me how this went. No, give me I want the real stuff. Right. And then I need to figure out how to take that feedback in so I get more of it. Because when I say, hey, Terry, tell me the real feedback, and then I start arguing with you about how you're wrong, do you think that Terry's going to give me more feedback? No.
Right.
Right. So feedback, I guess, is the last one for me that I think we can talk about today.
You know, it's like when you ask someone, well, why don't you follow up with your customers? And you get 1,000 reasons, like we're just so busy and I've got to be cultivating new customers. And the reality is I don't want to hear anything bad. I don't want them to tell me that I did a bad job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, it's so important that we get that it really is probably the difference between success and failure. Maybe, I'm willing to at least say that. So can't prove it yet, but we'll get there.
Well, we have a lot more we wanted to get to. We are coming up on the hour and we got Dane waiting. Are we going to do part of this?
I think I can probably get through this. Okay. If you guys are okay for a little bonus,
Sure.
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. We can two-part it also. It'll just be sometime next year.
That's true. Okay, let me find my place in our outline again. I was just cruising all around here. What in my screen printing classes, we always do an evaluation at the end, and I've had one person ever, and she was actually a chemistry professor at Yale, who said, I like the class, but too many stories. And I'm thinking, well, that's what if I were in your chair, that's what I want to hear. Don't want to hear your theories on screen printing production. I want to hear how somebody took that and used it in their shop. So you have some more examples of how the mindset has positively impacted people you work with?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest one is just my own personal example. This is something I'm working on applying every day. And I know that business ownership's not easy, right? You guys have seen it. You've felt the brunt of my frustrations at times, right? So I apologize every day and it's okay. I just have to remind myself, right, that there is an uncommon mindset to fix it. So that's first and foremost. I've also seen that all of our partners who embrace the fundamentals are embracing an uncommon mindset. So I'll give you an example. We've got a wonderful young lady who's in our Masters of Success program. And before we worked together, she was trying to cast that really wide net. She wanted to be all things to everybody. And I got to work with her on what her reason was, what her why she started her business to begin with, and what the uniqueness was about her. And she came to realize that she was just out of alignment. And that was causing her the challenges or the struggles that she was having in her business, not getting new customers and things like that. And so when she then took that leap of faith to say, I'm going to stay in alignment with who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing, then things started to open up. She kind of unkinked the hose, so to speak. And at a point right now where she's thriving, she's on pace right now to exceed her goals for this year. In fact, we're working with her right now to set bigger goals for herself and believe in herself even more. And so it's really cool to watch that happen. Now, I guess if I kind of flip the script, there was another person that came in about the same time and had similar challenges and was also trying to be all things to everyone. And we did the same things. We kind of said, hey, okay, here's where you're out of alignment a little bit. But she wasn't ready to let go of that story. She kind of had the scarcity mindset. And, my prayer is that she figures it out. But at this point, I'm on the outside looking in. And again, just trying to be all things to everyone. So I've seen it unfortunately work both ways. You can just stick with the story and the common mindset and you kind of keep being where you're at. So I think the big challenge with this, Terry, is there's not a magic bullet and not a one size fits all guru step by step, do this and you'll be successful. I think it's honestly just a willingness to think differently. So I guess the formula, if you were to kind of pin me down and say, well, what's the formula, Aaron? Is that it's honestly so simple you could miss it because it's blocked by that common way of thinking. And so it's very easy in structure. It's just not simple to do, right? So it's simple, I guess, is what I should have said, but not easy to pull off. It does take persistence. It takes positivity, maybe some woo-woo stuff from time to time, and just ultimately working on your business more than we probably allow ourselves to do, and not always be a slave to this, be a slave to our business, really, right? Like, oh, I've got to do this. I got to do this. I think that at the end of the day, if you can say, how can I create more get tos in my day than have tos, that will ultimately lead to success. So that's kind of my take.
Aaron, when you were saying that, it reminded me that everybody's looking for that magic bullet. And I've done seminars on direct to garment printing where I'll have 100 people in the room and I'll go, okay, so let me show you where the magic button is on this printer. And I'll go walking towards the printer, and like people in the back are like craning to see where the magic button is. And I'm like, okay, there's no magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it says something about all of us as business people, that you're still craning to see maybe there really is a magic button out there.
Yeah. And there is, it's just hidden inside of you. So
Exactly right. So let's wrap with this. So what steps can our listeners take to start developing that uncommon mindset in their own businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for letting me go long here. I think first and foremost, it does require being an action taker, right? We talked about that at the beginning. It means asking for help. It means getting involved in the conversations. It means learning how to not be okay with just letting the business run you, right? There's always a choice that you can make differently, right? Even going so far as to that dirty word that I'm going to use here, make a business plan. We got to do that a little bit. And so I found the best way to embrace the uncommon mindset is really just to spend a little more time shifting your focus to the big picture, right? Where are you stuck, right? Ask your mind a lot of why questions. Why'd you start your business to begin with, right? I think from that space, decision-making can get a lot easier, but you have to be willing to go there. And then I guess another quick tip would be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. You need to have growth-minded people in your corner, right? So the podcasts that you listen to, the Facebook groups that you're active in, these could all be kind of perpetuating the common mindset if you let them. And so we have to I think the best way to overcome some of that negativity is you fill it up with positivity. So there's no room for the negativity to even show up. We can do that in our current world of negativity that's out there from a personal standpoint. And I think a great way to do that is just to fill up the top 5 people in your life. Who do you spend the most time with? And when the right people are that top 5 people, there's just no room for anybody else, like I just said. So an example for me, obviously this is what I believe is something that works because it's worked for me and I see it working for other people, is join a mastermind group, right? We're accepting applications right now, and you can lock in the price of the Masters of Success. It's going to go up next year. And we just gotta go up, right? We inflation's happening. So if you want to go over to oursuccessgroup.com/MOS, come be part of the mastermind group. I think it could be a very valuable space for you. Also, if you haven't read the book, I think this could be a great tool to kind of see the uncommon mindsets kind of in a manual form, I guess, is what I would look at it. And then I guess last but not least, just real quickly, reach out to me. As you can tell, it's something I'm extremely passionate about. I was able to talk this whole time, and poor Terry didn't get to talk hardly at all. And, I just want to find solutions with people. In fact, I've created a structure where we can sit down together in 30 minutes. It's called the SVP Business Alignment Assessment. SVP stands for Strengths, Values, and Passions. It's completely free. And I just am asking for a little bit of your time. Like I said, about 30 minutes typically. And I know people don't have time to give away. So I think this assessment is something worth spending 30 minutes to get a lot of time back in your future. So I think that's it, Terry.
Awesome. And Aaron, I've been making notes in my junior yellow legal pad, so that's always a plus in one of these events.
I know I've made it when I can get Terry to make notes. I love it.
Exactly right.
And Cassie
Hey,
says,
Aaron, we
still
have
love you, Terry."
we have our Reggie Award nominations, and this is the last week to put in your nominations, and we'd love to have as many as we can. Go to tworegularguys.com and then click on the Reggie's tab, and you can do nominations. And we're over time, but real quick, we've got the Fresh Impact Product Award, the Customer Care Spotlight Award, Industry Education Excellence, Decorators Hub Trade Show Award, Rising Star, Women's Voice Award, the Two Regular Guys Podcast Guest Star, and our favorite, the Best Ambassador for the Industry. So deadline's Thursday next week, Aaron?
Yes, Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time.
Center of the Universe time.
Center of the Universe time. You can beg all you want. We've proven that we're not going to extend that.
Exactly right. No matter how many thousands of emails you send.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's been a little light this year, guys. So make sure that you're sharing that with your friends. tworegularguys.com/Reggies. And let's get some more nominations in here, because it really is about the nominations. In fact, I think this year, Terry, if I can figure out a way to find time to do this, we're going to make they're going to be PDF forms so we can email them. But we're going to, and everybody that wants to grab theirs, we're going to have a certificate that they can print out that says I was Reggie Award nominated. So that
very
way
cool.
we can recognize people. So
new here.
Right.
You heard it here first.
There you go.
And I heard it here first.
Yes. I'm putting stuff out there that I probably shouldn't, but it's okay. It's important. This is really important to us to
sounds like a lot of work for someone, but it'll be you. So
oh, I was going to ask you to do it, Terry. Oh, shoot. Okay. All right. Again, thank Dane. Appreciate you hanging tight for us. I know we're into bonus time, but Terry, just real quick, tell us what you've got coming up, and then I'll quickly share mine and Eric's, and then we'll
absolutely. My complete screen printing business course, my next class in Chicago. We've laid out all of 2025. My next class will be March 15th and 16th. Workhorse products, we've actually bumped our November class to the week after the Long Beach show, which will be November 1st and 2nd. I'm going to be talking DTG and DTF printing, which technology is best for you, at Impressions Expo in January. And then watch for all of my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Real quick, Terry, I had a question mark because you said after the Impressions show, but then you said November. Is that date correct?
Sorry. I meant January. I meant February 1st and 2nd. That's why I need to type these things into the outline.
You're like Ron Burgundy. All right.
I read what I see.
Real quick for me, next week I'll be heading up to Charlotte for the Graphics Pro Expo. I'm going to be teaching how to master pricing for profit, and that's happening on November 9th at 11 a.m. local time, Eastern time there. So get over to graphics-pro-expo.com to check that out. Small Business Saturdays happening again every Saturday at noon Central Time. You can find that at liveosg.com. This week, we are going to talk about pricing, what to charge, how to display your prices, and when. So these are huge factors in your pricing strategy. So tune in Saturday at noon over there at liveosg.com. And I think that's good for me. Eric has got some cool stuff coming up yet today. So episode number 207 of the Take Up, Embroidery Digitizing Essentials, Path Operations, Bezier. I probably got that wrong. I'm sorry. Yep, I got it wrong. You guys, Bezier, and splines. So in this episode, Eric will give a simple explanation on path operations, the function differentiation between spline drawings and drawing with the points and Beziers. I don't know. Close enough. Drawing and editing tool. And I know exactly what he's talking about. I'm just not saying it right. As well as discuss a bit about how digitizing creates shapes and why different methods may work best for you. Masterclass once again from Mr. Eric Campbell there. So head over to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up tab at the top to get to the YouTube channel, and tune in live at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So also, stay tuned. Nothing to report specifically yet, but watch for announcements. Eric will be at the Impressions Expo in January out there in Long Beach. So, all right. I think we are finally ready for the secret sauce. Hopefully everybody's palate is cleansed for a wonderful secret sauce from Mr. Dane Clement from Stalls. So let's take it away.
Oh, there we go. Come on, get some light on here. Hey, everybody. Dane Clement here. So, Terry, from that video, I just want to show you this. Look, it's on my desk now. So, it's getting closer to being read. I can't wait to get to it. So, tell that lady from Yale you like all the stories. All right. So, here we go. So, my name is Dane Clement, formerly of Great Dane Graphics and currently executive creative director, I should say, for Stalls. So, if you want to find out more about me, you can find me at daneclement.com. And I got a really fun, quick secret sauce for you today. I think we're going to tee up a few of these kind of things moving forward because I think it's something that everybody should work on. And look at me saying tee up. I never played golf, but my friends did, and I fished the ponds. So there's that. So here we go. Let me present my screen. All right, share my screen, people. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Choose what StreamYard. I want all of them. Whole screen, entire screen. This one, share. All right. Well, I hope you guys can see because I can't tell. But
yes, we can see it.
All right, great. All right, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some different AI artwork apps, right? So I teach a lot of classes at trade shows. In fact, I was just at Fort Worth, had like 60 people in my intro to AI class. And that's basically I show or demo or just kind of let people know what's available and what's out there, right? So what I'm going to do this time is I want to show you one of my favorites, actually. And there's a free plan. I recommend using a free plan to check things out, see what see if you like that one, right? That sort of thing. But they're pretty inexpensive for the most part. So once you find one that you like, and I'm only going to show one today, but maybe we'll do another one in the future, right? So, so here happens to be one of my favorite, right? So this is Ideogram, and I'm gonna, you go there. It's basically ideogram.ai, and you get this website, and this is almost all of the AI apps will work similarly, right? So you're going to get this inspirational page, which is, here they call it the feed. So you can kind of scroll through and take a look and see, style, see what other people are creating in here, right? And you can also filter all this stuff as I scroll through, just to show you, like, if you find something that you like, right? Man, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. So just scroll and scroll. It'll go on forever. These are the designs that people really liked, and they just posted them as public, right? You can have private if you pay for it. So just sort of find, I'm looking, this is kind of cute, right? I'm not a cat guy, but I think he's kind of cute. So you click on it, and you can see the prompt that they used to generate it. You can see the 4 different versions that Ideogram generated, for you, right? So I can do that. I can go right back to the feed. There's a creations button here, which shows you all the designs and stuff that you've created. And then there's one here called Beta Canvas. I'm going to save that for my next secret sauce because that's super cool. Came out recently, like in the last couple of weeks. I've played with a lot of it. I haven't played with everything, so I don't want to go there just yet, but it is mega cool. And just as a sneak peek for those of you that wish you had Photoshop, or maybe you have it and you don't like to pay for that, monthly absorbent amount of money. There may be options these days between this one and a few other apps that you might not need Photoshop anymore. So there's that. That's always a good thing. So anyways, as we go through here, basically here's I can filter through, so I can say, hey, this is all of them, all the different styles. You can see photographic styles, you can see t-shirt artwork styles, that sort of thing. I can click on realistic and say, now I just want to see the realistic looking ones, right? I don't want any design or graphics mainly, right? Just something that we've created that looks, realistic. That's pretty cool. So I can click on this design one as well. And you see this a lot more artwork related, right? This is the one I would recommend for t-shirts, like for people in our industry, things like that. So definitely, like, this is probably one of my favorite, where I spend most of my time. But here's, here's 3D just to kind of show you. There's a lot of things. This is, it's 3D. It's kind of raised. It looks like, I don't know, some high density screen printing, maybe that kind of thing. So just look through this stuff, find an inspiration, click on it, and see what they used, right? The exact prompt. So basically, you can take that prompt and regenerate it, remix it for yourself, that sort of thing. So just knowing that if you want to generate your own stuff, the way you do it is right here. It says describe what you want to see. You can click on that and you get this window, which is super cool, right? So if I paste down, say I'm gonna paste it. I thought I had it handy. In fact, I know I had it handy, but it wiped it out. So 1 second. I'm just gonna throw in a prompt really quick if I can. Let's see what happens now. All right, we're gonna copy it and we're gonna come in here and we're gonna paste it. And it doesn't want to work. So how about we just do a new one? A cute Halloween character. Since Halloween was last night, laid out on the floor, hung over from eating too much candy. We're going to go with that, and we're going to see what happens. From eating too much candy. All right, so if I don't do anything and I just hit generate, right? So I'm going to go over this box here, some more here. Let me go this way. So what I can do is I can keep it at general. That's kind of like the defaults, but I'm going to go ahead and go to design because obviously I want to generate some things, but I'm not going to make any more changes. I can leave my magic prompt. There's that magic button right here, Terry, that you was talking about earlier. It's called generate. So here we go. This is set to private, just all my stuff is. I can do it as a portrait. I can do it as a square or a horizontal sort of image. So I would typically leave it as a square if I'm going to add my own text or do something like this. We could even say this. Watch. We can say, come on, with the words, I ate too much. All right, we're gonna hit generate. I'm not gonna change anything else. We'll just leave it rock. And when I do that, it looks like nothing's changed, except you see this little bitty box down here. Well, if I go over here to creations button on the left and click on it, here is my 4 things that it's going to generate for me, right? So it's going to generate 4 different looks. Now, there's a couple of other things I would add to my prompt normally. I didn't add it this time, but I'm going to show you why, right? So I ate too much. These are great. I like this first one. But here's the problem. It's not a t-shirt design, right? It's like a full-on postcard or something. It's image to the edge. So if we come back up in here and we change somewhere, we add to this thing. So I'm going to say, I'm going to do a t-shirt design of a cute Halloween character, blah, blah, blah. I ate too much, comma, isolated on a white background. This will allow me to remove that artwork off that background. I'm going to leave it as design. I'll hit generate again, that magic button that Terry was looking for. I found it, Terry. So while it's thinking here, you can see it's going to do 4 more. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm an artist, illustrator my whole entire life. I am in my home studio here. I've created artwork for as long as I can remember for our industry, especially, right? Now, look at that. It's super cute, super cool. They're not necessarily on white, but they're light enough to where we can remove things like that would be a second step and more of the whole entire process. This is just a generation, right? So I can say, which one do I like? I don't know. I kind of like them all, but I'm going to go with this one. I ate too much. Click on it, right? It'll come here. Again, you can see all 4. You can see my prompt. Here's a magic prompt that it writes. Does a better job. And I always say this new AI stuff, I say new, it's been around a couple of years. But if you're a good author, Terry, somebody that's really good in describing things with words, because, everybody that's read a book and watched the movie, I mean, the book's way better. So anyway, if you're good at it, you'll be a great artist all of a sudden. So there you go. We can remix it. We can change it. I can upscale it. I can right click and save that image and it puts it on my desktop. And then I can take it into any other image editor that I want to do and actually utilize it. So that's all I got. It was quick today. It is a great program. One quick thing, actually, I do have something else. So I want to show you pricing. So here's the free version, right? I can't say all. Most of the apps will give you a free version, but if you take a look at the list of what you get 10 slow credits, right? They really want you to pay for it. But there's no commercial availability here, right? So I can look over here. You can kind of see, and actually Ideogram, it lets you do anything commercially. Now I'm thinking about it, but you can see my current plan. So basically for what? I think it's what, $84 or 192, I think it is, the one I'm paying for. That's a year. So that's pretty reasonable in order to be able to do those kinds of things. And when you see my next secret sauce and we dig down deeper into that Canvas section, I think you're going to say, whoa, it's way worth paying. Now, I will tell you this, the slow generations are very slow. So when you pay for things, they come a whole lot faster and you get a whole lot more of them. Look, 400 credits a month. That's 400 designs-ish. It's going to create 4. You're going to pick one every now and again. So I got 1,000 a month. I've never hit that limit, but I probably would hit it in one of these two. So now that's all I got. So stick around. Look for me at the next one. We'll be here.
So good. So good.
Sorry, I mute myself.
Yeah. And he found your magic button, Terry. That's awesome.
I know. And if anybody was wondering what book he was referring to, Beer, Bait, and Barbecue, The Secret and True Origin of Vampires Upon the Earth, available at Amazon.
There you go.
It's a great Christmas gift. The sequel is in progress.
What? All
Absolutely.
right. Look at that. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, Terry. Well, we're well into bonus time. I appreciate you guys sticking around and getting us to bonus time there. And I loved it, Terry. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to share something that I'm truly passionate about. Hopefully everybody can have a little bit more of an uncommon mindset after what we talked about today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Aaron, for a great show. Great information. Like I said, I was taking notes as you were talking. So we also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for everything he does and keeping us on track and letting us go overtime, even though he's probably kicking and screaming over there.
probably got things to do. Digitizing to happen, man. That's all right. Well, yes. Thanks very much, Eric. Terry, next week we will have our 12th annual Reggie Award nominations. So we'll be reading off all the nominations and be getting the voting started. I haven't responded to you yet, but I will be able to be here. My flight's not until after we're done. So
okay, great.
I'll be going from this show to the airport. I feel like Terry.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm leaving directly from here to go to Tempe to do a demo for a customer. So until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out. Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.